A drug you can find in your dentist office is also being used on the street for a brief but intense high. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. It's called nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas. It's used in about 70% of dental practices that require sedation. Dental professionals must undergo several hours of training long before the mask goes on.
But experts say a legal loophole allows this drug to be sold in gas stations and corner shops across the country where it's bought for an addictive high.
Reporter Rob Krieger explains how and introduces us to some of the people personally impacted by nitrous oxide.
While it's heavily regulated in a clinical setting, nitrous oxide is also marketed as an ingredient for whipped cream, earning the nickname Whippets. In addition to a high, recreational users can also experience low blood pressure, fainting, and nerve damage. In late 2023, I spoke to Jenna Campbell, who started using the drug when she was 19 years old. She started with Whippets and eventually switched to these much larger tanks. Repeated use left her paralyzed. As she works toward recovery, Jenna and her father want other families to know of the dangers of nitrous oxide.
We're coming forward to help anybody else that might have a daughter struggling or a son struggling with addiction and gets a hold of one of these things.
Talk to your kids, talk to your family, explain what it is to them and the risks.
Our stories on Jenna, Greg, and others affected by nitrous oxide eventually caught lawmakers' attention. In May of 2024, Louisiana became the first state in the country to ban the retail sale of the drug, a solution moving forward, but a law that came too late for a woman and her fiancé.
I had everything picked out, my wedding dress, we had everything planned. I was actually going home that day for us to decide where we were going to go on our honeymoon. I had called him twice like I do on my way home, and he didn't answer. And I pulled up to our house, and I saw that his car was parked in the middle. I went into a room, and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I found a book sack full of masks, the tank, the connection to the tank. He was hooked up to nitrous and no oxygen. I thought at first he was joking, and so I called his name, and immediately how his body looked, I knew that there is no return.
Ashley Broha found her fiancé, who we're not identifying, dead, hooked to a nitrous oxide tank like this.
Never in a million years thought I would watch him get rolled out of the house with the coroner's office.
An autopsy by the East Baton Rouge Parish coroner determined he died due to asphyxia because of nitrous oxide poisoning, just months before they were set to be married in January.
And it all went away in a day.
She believes her fiancé bought that nitrous oxide online after finding this box with a shipping label from a company which sells nitrous oxide through this website.
How are these people able just to get online and order these tanks with not having to have any type of validation that you're in the medical field, you're in the restaurant industry?
The site calls it a green alternative to whipped cream chargers, offering direct shipping of these industrial-sized nitrous oxide tanks across the country, even to hotels and Airbnbs.
They just ship them to wherever you are. It blows my mind. This can't be happening.
The website links this safety data sheet, warning of the potential toxicity and suffocation risks linked to inhaling nitrous, including frostbite, central nervous system depression, and unconsciousness. Broha is a dental hygienist required by state law to have certification every 2 years just to administer nitrous oxide on a patient. But after the death of her fiancé, she found people seeking a high have far fewer restrictions than those in the medical field.
If I have to be certified, if I have to get a license, if I have to renew my license for being a dental hygienist every 2 years, then there's no way that kids and adults should be able to get online and just pay $9.99 for shipping fee and get nitrous tanks delivered to wherever they are.
I was incensed. There's a law, but there's a loophole in the law, and that's how they're getting around it.
State Representative Joe Stagney filed a bill to close those loopholes.
Under the pretense of making whipped cream have flooded the smoke shops, convenience stores, and sold at festivals.
Through this process, for many people, it was an educational process.
Where is that available at? That's not a...
Gas stations, Amazon.
That size?
And it actually comes with a mouthpiece.
This was going on under our noses. We did not know it. And once legislators became aware, everybody was as aggressive as those of us who saw this earlier. When the governor signs this, there will be cases made against some retailers. And look, we put manufacturers in the bill. We increased the penalties to them, including jail time, and we're going to make some cases against these people who are hurting our citizens.
Stagney tells me he was alarmed after seeing our series detailing the dangers of nitrous oxide and the potentials for addiction associated with it. It's why he says he authored this bill and why he says he's proud Louisiana will now become the first state in the country to ban the retail sale of nitrous oxide. With a stroke of a pen, Governor Jeff Landry made history.
This is an absolute public safety bill that we hope further protects kids and so that parents out there are not affected by this.
It's disingenuous. It's greed. I mean, they're selling it and the producers producing it to make a profit, and it's all at the expense of our citizens, their families.
And it's sad that they're out there making more and more money as people are losing loved ones like myself.
We've had enough. We know enough people that have been hurt and injured by this, and you can't exploit that loophole for profit at the expense of hurting our citizens.
I don't want someone else to have to go through my pain, his family's pain, my family pain, our friends. It's not a good feeling to live with.
It's important to note it's illegal everywhere to sell this gas to minors.
In 2021, New York raised the minimum age to buy the tanks to 21.
Because this gas is still so accessible, we want to go in depth on how nitrous oxide can create potentially deadly effects on the body.
There can be all kind of nervous damage, cerebral damage, cardiovascular implications, long-term implications.
The body needs vitamin B12 to nourish the nervous system. As the gas inactivates the essential nutrient, it depletes a supply that could last for years in just a fraction of the time.
People look like they've had spinal cord injuries. It can start as simple as something called neuropathy in their like tingling sensations in their extremities, their arms and legs, and to having problems with muscle pains and nerve pains in their legs, and difficulty walking, to the point where people sometimes become bedbound.
Prolonged recreational use of the drug can also cause psychological conditions like depression and psychosis. You can watch all of our extensive coverage on nitrous oxide right now. Head to investigatetv.com and search Supplying a High.